Welcome, folks. I am Kevin from the Redcaps podcast, and I wanted to do a quick little video on creating a Dragonbane character in Foundry and just go over a little bit of how Foundry handles the automation and give a little bit of a preview or insight to Dragonbane as far as the character creation side of it goes. It's something I've been playing with a little bit and trying out some solo stuff. The map you see here on the screen is the Misty Vale. That's their default campaign setting, and the game is really neat. I'm really liking it the more I'm messing around with it, and yeah. So I thought I would create a character and show you guys how all that works. So here in Foundry, we've got the rules. So this is the rules for for character creation, and I've got a blank character sheet over here, and we'll just set up, and then I'll open up a dice screen here so we can see the dice rolls as they happen. And if we come over here to introduction, it shows us kind of the steps that we're going to go through. We're going to choose our kin. Once we pick a kin, that each kin comes with its own ability. We're going to then roll for our profession, which is kind of like a class, but not exactly quite the same. Then we're going to roll for our age, although I'm actually going to rotate this. I'm going to change 4 down to like 6.5 instead, because I think changing your age after your attributes just is a little bit easier. We're then going to choose our name, and then we'll get our attributes. We'll find out some ratings, which I'll explain. That's all kind of automated. We'll train up some skills, and we'll just finish off some of the more role play related items for the character and go from there. So first up is kin, or the races that are included in Dragonbane. And you have humans, halflings, dwarfs, elves, mallards, and wolfkin. The mallard being the one that probably catches everybody's eye when they first see this game, because the mallard is, he kind of has on the cover of the game kind of a dark-winged duck look to him. I'm not sure, he's got the quacking knight look there, but on the cover he's kind of got the dark-winged duck look to him, and it catches everybody's eye. But each of these races kind of can play almost the same, but they each have their own ability. Like the halflings can spend some willpower points and get an advantage when they're rolling to evade. The dwarfs one's really cool. He can take note of every person who's ever hurt him, and actually write down the person's name and say, this person's hurt me. And then anytime that you ever encounter that person again, or even in the same combat, you can spend will points and get an advantage on your attack roll. So basically it's like you've marked them, they've crossed you, so now you are able to get advantage on them anytime you want, as long as you can spend the will points to do so. But yeah, so each of these characters has a different one of those. So let's roll up and see what our kin will be. We rolled up human, bog standard human. Okay, so we just drag and drop human over, it automatically fills it in, and we get our ability. The human's ability is adaptive, and essentially what that is anytime you're rolling for a skill, you can choose to make the roll using a different skill of your choice. You have to be able to justify why you're changing it, but the GM should be fairly flexible with it. It's things like if you were a high strength character and you had to do an agility roll, you could come up with a reason why your strength could do that same function without having to do the agility, and it lets you, play to your strengths, so to speak. So that is our kin done, and everything gets kind of moved over automatically. We'll now go to profession. Profession, like I said, is kind of like classes, but this game handles classes and progression very differently than what you would expect from D&D. But these kind of set out a starting level for some skills. As you go over time, you can really become master of any of these sorts of archetypes, but this is giving you a little bit of a leg up at the beginning of the game if you wanted to go into any of these archetypes. So let's roll and see what we get. We got a fighter. Oh, sorry. Yeah, fighter. So we're going real basic on here. So we're going to go human fighter. All right, so human fighter, they get, as in the profession, if we come over here to the skills section, we'll start to see that there's certain skills like the weapon skills, evade, that are bolded. Those are ones that we'll go over when we get to that, but it automatically recognizes that we're a fighter, so bolds those skills. And we get a new ability called veteran. And this one allows you to retain your initiative from the previous round. So in each round in this game, you're going to redo initiative, and this just says, hey, if I spend some will points, 1 will point, then I am able to stay in the initiative order that I was in the previous round, which can be really powerful because there's some strategy to how combat works in this game with regards to parrying and defensive versus offensive. So that's a pretty cool skill to have. All right, we're going to skip age for now. Like I said, we'll come back to it. We'll go to name. So name, we'll go back up here to kin, human. They've got a little chart on here to roll. And we roll, and we've got Helvetia, I think is how we're going to pronounce that. And so we'll just paste that in there, and that's all done. Awesome. Attributes. So attributes are done by rolling 4d6, keep the 3 highest, and then you can place them in wherever you wish. And at the end, after you've got all the attributes placed, you can then swap any 2 of them. And so fighter, we're obviously going to probably want to keep our 2 highest ones being strength and con, followed probably by agility. Will is important. Intelligence and charisma for our fighter are probably going to be where we're going to try to target our low rolls and keep the other ones fairly high. But let's see what our first roll is. May the dice bless us. First one's the 13. That's not bad. So with a 13, I'm going to give that to Will, because I think we can do better. Let's roll again. Oh, we can do better. 17. That is going to strength, and we won't be changing that. All right, next roll is a 14. 14, I'm going to throw in agility. Roll again. 15, that's going into constitution. That's our hit points. So constitution goes directly to hit points. And roll again. 14. 14 we'll put into intelligence. There's a bunch of skills that use intelligence that will be useful for us. And then lastly, for charisma, we are going to roll and get 12. So I actually don't think I need to swap any of these. I mean, I could swap intelligence and will just so I have 1 more will point, but I think it's close enough that it doesn't matter, and I like those as they are. So we're going to leave those exactly as they are and just move on from there. So once you've rolled your stats, those will go in, and then there's derived stats. So derived stats are going to be things like our movement, our damage bonuses based off of how high we rolled our strength or agility. So our damage bonus with strength, anytime that we roll a strength-based weapon, we get an additional d6 of damage, which is cool. And yeah, so it automatically updates our hit points, our willpower points. That's all the automation within Foundry that's doing that for us. Then we go over to skills. And before we actually do this, we have to go roll our age. But these skills, the numbers that are on here, these are our target numbers that we have to roll on a d20, and you want to hit that or lower in order for the skill to be successful. And we're going to double some of these numbers here in a moment. But first, we need to find out our age. Now, our age is important in this game because as an adult, everything stays as it is. So you will get to improve 6 of these bolded items and 4 others. And your attributes don't change at all. However, if we're young, then we are only going to be able to do 6 skills from the ones that are bolded and 2 others. But our agility and con will both go up by 1. If we're old, we get a lot more skills. We lose some strength, some agility, and con, and our intelligence and will go up by 1. So it kind of, your age will definitely impact how your character is, but let's see how old our human fighter is. He is 2. He's young. All right, so that means our stats are going to get even better. So let's go to background. We change from adult to young, and you'll see that our constitution and agility both went up by 1, which means our health points went up by 1, and we didn't cross a threshold on agility to get a higher damage bonus there, but still, it's a nice update anyhow. All right, so now we'll go back over here to skills, and we now know that as a young person, we're going to be able to update 6 of our bolded ones and 2 of our non-bolded skills. And so let's see, we're a fighter, we're definitely going to do swords, so that doubles to 14. Probably going to want to double evade, 14. Let's see, brawling, that might happen, 14. Bows, take that up to 12. Axes, sure, 14. So that brings us what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got one more. Let's do spears, 14. All right. So those are our base skills that we've kind of updated that come from our profession. Those are the ones that are bolded. So the ones that we didn't do were crossbows and hammers. We didn't bother updating those. So we're good in most other weapons. We now get 2 other skills that we can train on. I'm going to say we should probably do awareness, just general awareness around us. That would probably be a good skill to have high up there. And I always believe in having a little bit of healing. So where's our healing at on here? Because healing is important in this game, because you don't really increase your hit points at all. This game does not suffer from hit point bloat like other games we may be playing. So healing's there. And that is our skills. So when we come back to our main page now, we can see the skills that we have upgraded that are probably most useful. You can roll on any of these skills. It's just that your target number is much lower, so your chance of failure is higher. Now, the cool thing with this game is as you use skills more, they improve. And they improve by any time you roll a skill and you get a critical failure or a critical success, so a 1 or a 20, you will mark a skill. So you'd mark it here and say, hey, yep, I was using this skill and I got a critical success on it or a critical failure. And then at the end of the session, when you're done for the day, you can then go to, I'm not sure if you can do it for all of them or for just for one. I have to go back and reread the rules, but you go back and you roll the same skill. And if you can roll higher than the number that is on the skill, you can increase it by 1. So if I rolled a d20 and I got a 15 or 16 or 17, then I could increase this from a 14 to a 15. And when you get a skill all the way up to 18, you then can take a new ability, a new heroic ability from the list of abilities in the game. So, and that's how progression works. It's pretty neat. So we've got our skills now. So let's come over here. Heroic abilities, we already spoke about that. We've get the one that you get for your profession, and you get one for your race. And so those are both on there. And as you level up, as you get these abilities over here, the skills over here, upgraded to higher levels, then once they reach 18, you get a new heroic ability, which gives you, they're kind of like feats. They give you more things that you can do, which is really neat. All right, optional rule, weakness. This is now more of a role play thing, but let's throw it in. So our human fighter is boastful. This is kind of working out really, really well here. Let's go to background, weaknesses. He's boastful. Let's go to, while we're here on this page, let's go skip down to appearance right quick. I like getting 2 different appearance items. So he has a silver tooth and different colored eyes. So over here we'll say silver tooth and diff colored eyes. All right. So that's all done. Next up is gear. And gear, the easiest way to do it is to go to your profession. And we are a fighter. You scroll down a little bit, and they've got some default sets of gear available for you here. Okay, and we can also get a nickname too. We should get a nickname for our person. Grave Maker. Oh, that's great. The Grave Maker. All right, so let's see what set of gear we're going to get. We're going to roll, and it was a 4, so we're going to be starting off with a short sword or a hand axe, and we've got skills in both those. We can do either axes or swords. I'm going to go with swords because it's got I believe the sword has a piercing ability. Yeah, piercing and slashing, whereas the hand axe has slashing, throwing, and toppling. So these features are really interesting when you're looking at weapons. So toppling lets you knock somebody to the ground, whereas piercing has a really cool ability where you can, under certain circumstances, pass through the armor of somebody and armor gets used as a soaking device in this game where it soaks up damage. So you can bypass that with a piercing weapon. But we'll take the sword because it's a human fighter, and I think that just fits a little better. So we're going to go sword. We get a light crossbow. We get a quiver of arrows. We're going to have leather armor. We will have a torch. We'll have flint and tinder. We're going to have some rations. We'll see how many rations. 2 rations, and we get some silver. Not very much silver. This human fighter's got to get out there and start doing some work. So go to him here, inventory. He's got 1 silver, and of his rations, he has 2 rations. And you can see that it has an encumbrance here. So the encumbrance is based off your strength. So he can carry 9 pounds of stuff, I guess is how that works, or 9 kilograms. Right now we're at this much on there, and it keeps track of it all automatically for you. And when you become encumbered, it impacts your movement speed. So that is gear, encumbrance, appearance, and an experience is kind of what I was just talking about how you get the achievement marks, and it is on each of them. So anytime that you get any successes, critical successes or failures, you mark them, and then you can increase all of them at the end of a session. And that is creating a character in Foundry for the game Dragonbane. Not that bad, pretty quick, pretty easy. I think I did this in roughly 15 minutes, but if I hadn't been sitting here explaining it all, it could have been done in even much less time. If I had more coin, had he rolled more than just 1 coin, I could have went over here to, we'll go to the journal and get the gear selection, and oops, close some of this stuff. There we go. You get the gear selection, and we could go and we could buy other things. So let's say like we wanted to buy some better stuff, we could buy it and just drag it over, and it's all onto the character sheet and all very automated. Makes it very easy to go. So if we wanted to then take a slash at somebody, also we put in what's in what hand here. So we would say maybe our short sword is in this hand, and the crossbow is a 2-handed thing, so we wouldn't be able to do it at the same time. So maybe we have our torch in the other hand. Torch is also a weapon, which is kind of neat. It's a D8 weapon, which is cool. There's some durability here, so if you parry with your weapon, you manage to avoid the attack getting to you, but the attacker still rolls the damage, and if the damage is greater than the durability of the item that parried it, it damages that item, which is pretty cool. And like I said before, we've got armor. We just have leather armor, so it soaks one point of damage before getting to our hit points. But yeah, if we wanted to do any of these, we could like attack with our short sword. We can choose what we want to do. Let's just say it's a basic stab. We roll, it comes in, we roll a 9. That's a success because it's lower than our swords of 14. And then we could roll a damage, and it rolls a d10, which is the d10 is for the sword. And then we also had a d6 for our damage bonus. And so we get 12 points of damage, which is quite a lot, really. Like if we went and looked at the bestiary, if you look here at the bestiary, we go to like a nightkin and we grab a goblin. The goblins have like 9 hit points, so that's like a one-shot kill on the goblin, assuming that the goblin wasn't able to parry the attack. So, yeah, that is creating a character in Dragonbane using Foundry and the automation. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of it, and hopefully you find it interesting. Dragonbane's a cool game. You should really look into it. Free League is putting out some amazing stuff. The box set version, the physical version, it's sold out in most of the places around me. So I've got a couple of stores that I'm waiting for them to bring it in. But I'm going to buy the physical version of the box set as well, because it's really, really neat. It comes with a bunch of like paper minis and all kinds of stuff in it. It's a really cool box set. But for now, I'm playing it on Foundry, and it's really neat, and hopefully this was enjoyable. So, never let your caps dry out. Stay safe, have fun. We'll talk again soon. Take care.